We're joined from Perth by Sky News contributor and columnist Gemma Tognini, and we're joined also from the Sydney CBD by columnist with The Australian, former editor of The Australian, Nick Cater. Thanks both for joining us. Gemma.
Thanks, Chris.
We all in the media ought to report strongly and strongly condemn violent protests, whoever carries them out, but there seems to be some double standards, seems to be a lot more angst about the violence perpetrated by pro-Trump protesters rather than anti-Trump protesters.
Violence is violence, Chris. Burning crap down is burning crap down. I mean, that CNN strap around mostly peaceful while, you know, the place is up in flames behind him. What kind of games are these people playing? I mean, it's not unusual, Chris, for media outlets to take an editorial position. Every media outlet, whether it's a newspaper, whether it's a broadcasting outfit, has an editorial position, but don't stop being a journalist in the midst of that. And I think we are seeing so much of that and have seen so much of that throughout 2020 and indeed in recent weeks. You know, call a spade a shovel, report without fear or favour. The fact that the BLM protests and the violence around places like Portland, for example, and Kenosha were treated so differently from the ones associated with President Trump and pre-inauguration. I don't think people buy it. I really honestly don't think people buy it. And we're talking again about credibility of the media in 2021. It's a revolving door of conversation, and it's a pyrrhic victory, really, for the media outlets that think that we're too dumb to tell the difference.
And Nick, I think Donald Trump has been irresponsible, and he's called out for that fervently by some, but there's no doubt he's got to bear some responsibility. Yet what about over the past 4 years and around the time of Trump's own inauguration, you had people like Hillary Clinton urging protesters and political opponents to form a resistance. And this was sparking riots back then.
And I think if you did a sort of meta-analysis or detailed analysis of Hillary Clinton's words, I think on the terms which they've been following this time round, she would have been up for impeachment if she become president. It is. I thought sure. I mean, Trump's words were advised. I mean, a lot of us wish he'd done a lot less tweeting. But to suggest that that was the cause, rather than look at possibly, I think, what should have been looked at, and that is the security around the Capitol building. That was the first issue. How did these people get in? There are violent mobs. There are people who wish ill on both sides, as we saw earlier last year with the Black Lives Matter movement and the radicals that get in and try and create trouble around that. That's a fact. That's sadly a given in today's society. The question is how the authorities respond to it. And in this case, it's a particularly pertinent question because, of course, the Democrats or the people on that side of politics have been saying there should be less policing, not more.